it's a second part of our chat about the pelvis, and we would like to start. You would like to start with a beautiful poem.
Mm.
You would like to read about the pelvis.
hmm Yeah, the poem is by Elizabeth Noble. She's an obstetric physiotherapist. She works with women also that give birth, um, and this is what she wrote. The center of gravity, center of pleasure, center of reproduction, center of creativity, a bony basin to cradle a baby, our first home, the primordial cave of bliss or terror. Wounds are stored there. Survival, relationships, power, and money. A bony bridge between trunk and legs. Muscular floor, pulsating and pumping. Architecture of commitment. Keystone of good posture. Base of emotional security. Love's portal. Hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, today we would like to chat about more holistic approach, not only approach from the our anatomy, but more holistic. How pelvis was seen through the ages, through the cultures, through spiritual part. How pelvic is important for us. And
Hmm.
this poem really pinpoints what it is. You mentioned before we started to recording in Taoism that pelvis and in Tantra, the pelvis is a center, a
Hmm.
center of our life. And if you could just share a few words about it and how Taoism and Tantra perceive pelvis.
Hmm. Yeah, so Taoism and Tantra, huge, ancient traditions, many hundreds of years old, and they have kind of pinpoint exactly what we have read in this poem, that pelvis is a center, is a beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a place where we might or might not feel home. This is a base. So this is a base. We say root chakra, the base of our existence that connects us to the earth, connects us to this reality. But it's also a raw creative energy. So in Tantra, we have this concept of Shakti, a goddess Shakti that lives in the base of the spine. And basically, this is this raw life force.
It's like Kundalini energy as
It's a
well.
Kundalini energy. So the sexual energy, but sexual in a sense of really a life force, a
Hmm.
creative life force, this potential. So it's this kind of if we think about, we talk about pelvis as a bowl full of water.
Yes.
So water is something that is doesn't have a shape yet. It has a potential. It has a force, and this energy, if cultivated and if healthy, if open, can then travel up into our stomach, into our heart,
And
and
it,
then eventually express itself through our mouth, but also through our hands, through our heart, as relationships, through our projects, and
and you know
obviously
what?
children.
Yes. And you know what? It brought to my mind as well the idea of in Chinese medicine, and that is kinesiology is based on Chinese medicine. That in around the pelvis, around this area, we have kidneys and bladder, and this is the in Chinese medicine is a water element.
Yes.
So when you mention the water, it's like yes, absolutely makes sense. And
Mhm.
all the cultures, every teachings are kind of intertwined because you in every culture you see that like it's a center of creativity, water. We are talking in the shamanism as well about the creative power of water. And you mentioned it as well that whenever it happens over here, as women, we are giving birth, we are carrying the new life in our bellies. It's a
Right.
center of creativity.
It's a center of creativity. And obviously for men, well, they cannot bear children, but they have an energetic, we can call it hara or chakra, so this
Mm-hmm.
place of raw energy. And what I want to mention also, emotions in general in many spiritual traditions are also connected to water element.
Yes.
So again, this is this raw, wild, sometimes
Untamed.
calm, untamed, exactly. And we talk. I mean, we work with breath, right? We actually are working with first of all, liberating this energy, that this water that is stuck in different parts of our body, including, of course, in pelvis. Pelvis is really central to that. And once this water is opened up,
Flowing.
it's flowing. Our next step is actually to take this water and create. So
Mm-hmm.
through the higher kind of like our higher functions, um, we take these instincts, these emotions, because of course the emotions, then they might be wild, they might be destructive. I mean, water just flows over everything. You
Yes.
cannot stop water. If we think about floods, there's nothing you can do.
No,
You
no,
just
you
wait
can't. You
until
can try, but
you
there
can
is no.
try, but exactly fire. If whenever you have a fire, there's something we can do. We can try to
To
yeah, try
put
to
down
put it down. The water you cannot
with
stop
water, with water.
with water,
Sometimes.
exactly. So the next point is to work on these emotions. And actually, if you think about the next part, the belly part, this is actually a fire element.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this between our sacral chakra and our belly, there is this point of connection. And in Taoism, they say a lot about heating the water. So heating the water, that the steam is produced. So this steam is this life force, and the steam can obviously go up, right?
Wow.
Go up into
So
our heart.
it's actually creates as well. I think does it is it connected to because the steam straight away brought into my mind breath and
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
the air
So
element.
this is the air element that we need exactly for, well, first of all, for the fire to happen. Fire has to have, it's an oxygen, it's a connection to the oxygen.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if you think about digestion in Chinese medicine, it's the element of
It's
fire.
there exactly, it's the element of fire. So we take kind of this raw energy from the earth, the energy from the food, as and this is in connects in our bellies, right? Our bellies are also extremely connected to emotions.
Mm-hmm.
This is also where a lot of neurotransmitters are produced that actually are steering us to do or feel in different ways, right? We are either
We're talking
motivated or
about gut
motivated,
feelings as well.
of course. Yeah. Yeah. So in these two traditions, Tantra and Taoism, there's a lot of focus put on training pelvic floor, on mastering this energy, in a way that it's not flowing, it's not killing us or overwhelming us, but it's rather contained, um,
And flows freely, but
and it flows
it's not
freely.
overflowing. It's not, as you said, it's not just dumping us. I mean, I could say that I am quite emotional person, and
Yeah.
the moment when I started to work on my emotions, I noticed that before all my emotions were just flooding me, and I
Mm.
couldn't do anything. It was like a flood.
Yeah.
It was like untamed, raw energy. And then when I started to work on it, started to work with breath, with managing it. It's not about putting into the box because the box would probably break. It's more about letting the energy flow through me,
Mm.
but not overflow.
Mm. Yeah. And this is where we come to a really, um, if we think about the life force as the energy, as electricity, electricity has to be grounded, otherwise it's untamed.
Yes.
And this grounding happens in pelvis, so it happens in our root.
Yeah,
And
because root
in
chakra is the earth element, is
right,
bringing us to the grounding.
yeah. So if I think about myself in a position of the grounding, how do I actually let myself be grounded, so get this energy also connected to the earth, to the security? The easiest thing for me is to just think about or feel my the low part of my spine, and also my bottom.
Toxic.
Yeah, well, coccyx I probably cannot feel, but yeah, they
Yeah,
somehow, yeah, this
sitting
part of
bones
the
and
right. And another point, very important point also for Taoists, is the perineum. So this is actually where they so in Chinese medicine there are those two vessels that go governing, and I forgot another name. I don't know if you remember.
no.
Governing vessel. Anyway, there are two vessels, right? One, and then they meet each other in the perineum side. So one is a yin vessel that is in the front of the body, and the yang vessel that is in
So
the back of the
you mean,
body.
because in kinesiology we are talking about the daytime governing meridian and the nighttime. So probably is the ones that you
Yeah,
are mentioning, and they
yeah,
are going from the top to the top of the head to the perineum, and then
yeah.
from makes sense. Yeah.
And it's this is called also this kind of circle is called in Taoism microcosmic orbit. And a lot of meditation techniques are related to that. But anyhow, coming back to the perineum, this is also the place where we kind of everything starts as a ground. So this is the first point, really, to be able to sit. I imagine very often my pelvis to be just very, very big, like a big mama's kind of like, I imagine this African women, that
Yes.
just sit, they have this big butts, and just sitting, just really connecting myself to the pelvis, connecting to the floor, and
To the ground.
eventually to the ground. And eventually what happens also, I feel my posture starts to straighten up, so the energy can also flow, the breath becomes more deep, and the emotions they're still circulating in the body, but they're not overwhelming.
Yeah.
They're rather working with me.
Beautiful. I remember that I got once from my mentor the exercise how to ground myself. It was laying down with your legs bent and gently put the tailbone on the floor and bang on the floor.
Yeah,
So it's like the movement is like bow, bow,
yeah,
bow,
yeah,
and it really helps to ground yourself.
yes,
The same time, it's like sometimes if you are not able to lay down, it's enough to lift your heels and really just drop on the
on the
floor, and
floor.
it will help to really really ground yourself, and then all the emotions, everything is really calming down.
Yes, yeah, I use this technique in the biodynamic breathwork a lot. And I really, well, I use it for myself also, but this is something, because the pelvis, emotions are everywhere, but the pelvis, it is a center or emotional center,
Yes, it
as
is.
we say. So this is where, and very often people just don't have access also too much. So very often when I work with people, the pelvis is actually the last part to be noticed or to be moved. The hands might be moving, the head might be moving, maybe the legs will be a little bit moving, but this circular movement of the pelvis, that doesn't happen a lot. And this technique that you mentioned very often helps first, I think, to discharge a lot of energy from
Yes.
pelvis, to ground, but also to feel it, to
Mm-hmm.
actually notice presence of this part of the body.
Makes sense. There is another technique to really like connect with the pelvis is to stand straight and imagine that in a pelvis you have a bowl full of water that we were already mentioning. It's like a bowl full of water, and move gently the hips the way that the water will move, but it will not fall. So it's like gently rocking the hips. Uh,
Look what happens with me. I'm already
yes,
doing it.
I'm moving as well, and you're moving as well, and it's so beautiful exercise because it's so gentle.
Yeah,
Yet it's so powerful that we can really start connecting with this part of our body.
absolutely. Yeah. And it also is this part of this unwinding, also the spinal unwinding that is liberating our spine, makes it flexible, makes our emotion flexible, and makes our mind flexible. I
Yes.
think that's also a connection um, that I like to mention. For me, pelvis is also wilderness. It's this nature, something that just does
Yeah.
things because it wants or it needs or it feels. And at the same time, because it's so flexible, it's capable of being different things and being in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And discovery. I mean, this creativity is for me also exploration, going
Yes.
and trying and stepping out of things that we know. So for me, it's also this flexibility
Yeah.
that can
It's
translate.
creativity is wild. It's like
Yeah,
it's curious. It's like a little child is running around and looking around, and for me as well, this part of the body is quite fragile as well.
yeah,
There is because of the emotions, and as well, if we are looking at the how we are built, this part doesn't have in front, of course we have pelvic a floor and pelvic bones and hips, but in front we don't have any bones, and it's really really vulnerable.
yeah. It's very vulnerable, right? And we mentioned that in I think also in the previous part that our little ones, they live in actually in this area. And so our little girl, so I'm a sexological body worker also, and when I work with people, when I work with myself, usually when we come into vagina or we come into anus for men as well, the little one pops up,
Mm-hmm.
right? The little one that sits there, and sometimes it's abandoned also, or sad, or needs some care. um, and I feel like also, you know, connecting in this way to our pelvis
Mm-hmm.
from um, this gentle place of parenting, almost like parenting a little bit, this, well, in a sense, you know, taking care of these parts,
Yes,
being
absolutely.
very gentle.
Mm-hmm.
What I like also to do for myself, but also very much with my clients, when I start to work with the pelvis, the first part is so-called holding position. So if you imagine this is yoni, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I would just place my hand gently in this way, and we stay like this for 5 minutes. The
Beautiful.
sensation is a sensation of grounding, but also of being held, you know,
Mm-hmm.
almost held like a child. And the same, of course, for the men, it's the same idea. So, and just breathing into this place, it brings us kind of to this yeah, place of being cared for,
Yeah,
deeply
yeah.
cared
I can
for.
imagine. I can imagine that it's like taking care of the little one that was, like you said, scared or even sometimes petrified and never seen,
Mm.
guilty, ashamed.
Mm. Yeah, right. There's another thing that comes to my mind again, if we think about, yes, a spiritual perception of our body. I mean, our body is a temple for our spirit. That's the idea, and kind of an entrance for me. The pelvis, the genitals, the anus. It's like a gate into the temple.
Yes.
And yeah, there a lot of things happen when we have an intercourse, when we are sexually involved with another person. That's also crossing the gates. So when we allow someone as women to be in inside our body, or for the men to enter this gate into the temple, it's very profound thing, because it's really an energy exchange. It's touching. It's the closest way we can be with each other, apart from being in the belly of our mama.
Yeah.
That's the only way to really merge. Yeah, to merge.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And when you mention about the sacredness and about the place, straight away it comes to my mind about the Holy Grail.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So when you think about Holy Grail, and they were looking for, oh, this is Holy Grail, but actually when you look how it's portrayed, it looks like a female organs.
Yeah.
So I would say there is a saying that Templars they were holding, and they were kind of the ones who were taking care of the women, and Holy Grail was actually our wombs.
Yeah.
So it's so many things are happening around our pelvis and our bellies. It's and if we are looking through all centuries and all the um, beliefs, and we can see that this is the center of our world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where we are connected with mums as well, through the umbilical cord. So this is as well the part of our body that we are connecting to God. That is our mum.
That is our mom. Yeah. Yeah. And also, well, there are two parts, right? This connection, and also, all the traumas that are carried.
Yeah.
From, again, if we think about it, we have spent 9 months in the belly, in the pelvis of our mama.
Yes.
And then we went through the birth. And the birth is by itself, there was, it's still a little bit in psychology. And there's this idea like, oh, the child comes out a little bit like a blank page. So this is also from Freud. Freud was believing that when you are born, you are completely blank, and then things happen. But actually, it's not true. We remember everything. I mean, we maybe we don't remember it consciously, but our nervous system, our cells remember every single event that happened, probably from the moment of conception, right? More and more. So actually, the birth, the being birthed is our
It's already a trauma.
It's original trauma. And we both work with breath, and we know as well that eventually in session, very often there are these motives coming up about being in the womb, about either feeling calm and good, or struggling to go out. In the birth itself, feeling suffocated.
And as well, already the scientists, they found out that we are actually in our mom's womb. We feel all the emotions of mother. We are really affected by these emotions, and we already can be traumatized by these emotions. And we already can carry the emotions of our moms coming over to the earth. So during the birth, as you mentioned, it can be as well. We are not tabula rasa. We are not white blank paper.
No.
We already have some imprints
we have imprints, and moreover, these imprints, because we want to solve them in some way. So Stanislav Grof was saying he worked a lot with this rebirthing,
Yeah.
birthing or birth trauma with psychedelics also and holotropic breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that these experiences that we have while we are being born, they're actually the seeds of the trauma that happens later.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, we are drawn to the situation that repeat this particular. So let's say if we have, I don't know, been suffocated
Yeah.
by too long, maybe by the umbilical cord, maybe we'll be looking for situations where we need people that suffocates us, so that
Yeah.
we can we can solve this
Yeah, we
by
kind of,
opening up.
yeah, the in the theory of trauma we are inviting to sounds a bit sounds a bit how you call it, um, sad, that but we are inviting to in our lives similar situations to solve the traumas that happened. And as you mentioned, if one was suffocated during the birth and had an umbilical cord, I was born uh, pushed out of mom's belly by the, I mean, pulled by the
By the
vacuum.
vacuum. Mm-hmm.
So it is already a trauma for me, and
Yeah,
I had few sessions on breathing sessions to go through all these things and themes
yeah,
that were absolutely imprinted it already in me.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes when I think about it, it's like, oh my God, like this is all there already so early, and in a way, my God, we have no chance. But I think there is actually a huge potential also in being aware of
Amazing.
these things that happen there, and use them for us, for our growth, for our learning,
Mm-hmm.
also for connections with people, asking ourselves, okay, what type of relationships I'm falling
Attracting.
for, attracting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. I think that awareness is the first step towards healing.
absolutely.
So if we are aware what's happening and what happened in our life, and what happened in our families as well, because for example, the trauma can be go through the generations. My mom was pulled out from the womb by forceps, so it
Mm,
it shows that
it's
it's not only me, but it's my mom.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
true.
don't know. I have no information about my granny's birth, but it
Mm.
might be that it was as well with my granny the same.
Something that is repeating, yeah. And this
Yeah,
this this transpersonal, we go again into this transpersonal realm, that
yeah,
again, like, we are never actually blank, right? There's a beginning of the life, but life happened already before.
yeah.
So we are carrying our ancestors' wounds within our genes, and within what then shows up as a body, within this energy,
Mm-hmm.
life
Absolutely.
force. Because of course the egg and the sperm, there are both carriers of the life force,
Yeah,
right? Original life force from our mother and from our father. So yeah, it's I always think about it as a circle, as a spiral.
yeah.
There
And
is no end and the beginning. Yeah,
the moment when we are starting to transform, we can really start to grow.
right.
And everything starts with our pelvis and
And
our
everything
belly.
starts with our pelvis. Exactly. Without this part, all the upper parts cannot exist, cannot fly in the air.
Oh, actually, if you think about, you don't have a hip bones. You are just like
Yeah,
jelly.
you are like a jelly. Yeah, yeah. And it's okay to be a jelly as well.
Yes, absolutely. We know that it's needed to let these emotions that are having a root in our belly to just flow through our body and collapse and see for what it is.
Right.
Okay, Kasia, thank you so much. It was again, and it's always a super big pleasure for me to chat with you and talk about these emotions and our belly and our pelvis as an emotional center, actually.
Mm. Yeah, for me, it's also a pleasure. I could talk with you about it for another couple of hours, probably.
Yes,
There's so much to
I
say.
agree. I agree.
But ultimately, I just say, I encourage everyone to just be with their pelvis, be with their, by touch, by putting an awareness, by putting a breath there. And that's often enough.
Yeah, starting with the breath.
Starting
Uh,
with the breath and the touch
and
and breath.
touch.
That's two
Yeah.
easiest.
Starting with a breath that goes deep to the belly, it can even, a deep, full body breath can even
Mm.
activate some emotions, and it's all right. It's actually all right. Just be with it and feel and touch. Yeah, connect with bellies.
Connect with bellies, connect with your genitals, connect with the pelvis.
Yes. Thank you, Kasia.
Thank you, Aisha.
Bye.
Bye bye.